Namaste, I am Dr. Gayatri. Today we are going to discuss on history of yoga. Okay, so in the beginning, the world's creation, it is said to start from Omkara. Okay, every creation it's said to start from Omkara, and Brahma is creating the universe with Vedas. Okay, Vedas are only the starting of the creation and all those things. That is our belief. So, what is the thing is, so any knowledge, Vedic knowledge or Anadi, Sanatana and Ananta. We saw that. Okay, it doesn't have any beginning or any end. Okay, it is Sanatana, ever existing. Some Veda Drashtaraha, okay, the seers of the knowledge, the Rishis, okay, they grasp the knowledge of Vedas and this thing and they give it to the universe. Okay, that is the basic concept. And so likewise, Vedas means the knowledge of yoga is also a part of Vedas only. Okay, the knowledge of yoga is also part of Vedas. So in the history of yoga, we have 4 divisions. Okay, that is pre-classical yoga, and then classical yoga, middle age yoga, and then modern yoga. Like this, we have 4 divisions. Okay, basically, when you have to present the history of yoga, you should remember all these side headings. Okay, first the pre-classical yoga. Okay, then classical yoga and middle age yoga, and then modern yoga, which we have it now. Okay, the pre-classical yoga starts from Vedas. Okay, in Vedas itself we have reference of yoga. In Vedas we have the reference of yoga. In Rig Veda there is reference of Veda, of yoga. Okay, so in Vedas the yoga is not directly said. Okay, it is said in a indirect way. Okay, the meditation, the concentration and so many other things are told in indirect way, and in Rig Veda we can find some references of yoga. Okay, that is the first thing. And this Veda, they find it, first of all, according to the historians. Okay, in the archaeological findings, they found the flourishing of Vedic culture in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. That is called Indus Valley civilization. Okay, in that Indus Valley civilization, they could find the idols of Shiva and Parvati performing yoga. Okay, and they also found terracotta, clay terracotta idols. Okay, which are in the form of some yogic postures. Okay, you don't need to take notes. Okay, you just listen. I will give you the notes. You can circulate among yourself. Okay, after the class I will give you the notes. No need, if you want you can just note 1 or 2, that's your wish, but no need to take notes. So they found that in Indus Valley civilization they have the references of yoga. People have performed yoga. They found many postures. Okay, even complicated postures, statues, and in the seals. Okay, in the seals of Indus Valley civilization they had the picture, means the seal of Lord Shiva, Pashupata performing asana. Okay, like it looks like a Bhadrasana. Okay, or a very difficult posture where the feet is like this. Okay, I have sent the pictures to you in the WhatsApp. You can see those pictures. Okay, so that is I am giving you very short. You can also elaborate it later on when you write it. So first it is all about the Indus Valley civilization, and in regarding history you have to remember the time period. Okay, the Indus Valley civilization period is said to be 3300 BCE. Okay, BCE means before Christ. Okay, so in that time Indus Valley civilization was flourishing and all the Vedic culture was flourishing at that time. Okay, so from that time itself we have the history of Veda, means which historians could find. Okay, but according to our belief, it is like Anadi. Okay, so regarding Vedas also you should know. Okay, what are Vedas? Vedas, we all know that how many Vedas are there? 4 Vedas. What are they? Very good. There are Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharvana. The oldest Veda is said to be Rig Veda. Okay, in that itself we have the reference of yoga. Okay, and then there are something called Upavedas. Okay, Sub-Vedas. Okay, they are Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda and Artha Veda. Ayurveda, you know what is Ayurveda. And Dhanurveda is martial arts. Okay, which kings used for fighting. Okay, they learned different martial arts. And then Artha Veda. Artha Veda means economics. And then Gandharva Veda. Gandharva Veda means music. Okay, these are all the Upaveda. And then there is Veda Anga. Okay, Veda Angas are Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Jyotisha, Chandas, Nirukta. Okay, these are all called Veda Angas. So all these things are Vedic studies only. And then there are some Upangas. Upangas are Shad Darshanas. Okay, they are Jnana, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa and Vedanta. Okay, these are all Upangas of Veda. Shadanga and Upanga. Okay, Shadanga is all about Shiksha means how to pronounce the words. Okay, and then Kalpa means how to make that. For the rituals of Veda you have to make some arrangements. Okay, this much of bricks you should use. This in this shape you have to make the Yajna Kunda, and all those things come in Shiksha. Vyakarana means grammar. Okay, if you want to pronounce the mantras properly, you should know grammar. Okay, that is called Vyakarana. Jyotisha means astrology. Okay, in which time you have to perform certain rituals. Okay, so that is Jyotisha. Chandas means meter. Okay, every poem has a meter, isn't it? Proper, you know, you would have heard about Anushtup Chandas. Bhagavad Gita is in Anushtup Chandas. Like that, there are various Chandas. And then Nirukta. Nirukta means it is the root of the word. Every word in Sanskrita has a root word. Okay, for example, Patati means it comes from Pat Dhatu. Okay, every word has a root word. That is called Nirukta, and proper meaning. From how the meaning is derived from each words. Okay, like that it is saying. That is called Nirukta. And then you have this Darshanas. Okay, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Vedanta. Among the Darshanas, one is Yoga. Okay, what are these Darshanas? Darshanas means in those days, they had a quest of life. How the life has manifested, how we have come into the physical existence, how this world was created. Okay, what is the end of this creation? Okay, why this creation? And then who is God? Okay, and how can we are having so much of difficulties, miseries and sorrow. How we can be liberated from that. Okay, that is called moksha. Okay, they had lot of questions like this, and they came up with different ideas. Okay, different views. Darshana means view. Okay, so they had some Astika Darshana and Nastika Darshana. Means Astika Darshana believes in Vedas and God. Nastika Darshana does not believe in God. Okay, does not believe in Vedas mainly. Okay, so at that time there are so many darshanas they came up. Darshanas, they are said to be more than 300 or something. But basically we study Shad Darshanas. Shad Astika Darshanas. 6 Astika Darshanas. Okay, which have different views about God, creation, moksha, Ishvara and all. Okay, among that one darshana is yoga. Okay, they have some similar of opinions and difference of opinions. The beauty is when you study each darshana. Okay, in next year you will be studying darshanas also. When you study each darshanas, whatever you study, it will be like it is truth. Okay, in that view if you see, it is truth. Okay, it is beautiful. It is like a mental exercise. studying all the darshanas. Oh, this is creation, this is Ishvara, this is moksha and all. Okay, so that is all about this darshanas. Among the darshana, one is yoga, which is a part of Vedic studies. Okay, that is what we are studying now. Okay, this is the history of yoga. This is the history of a pre-classical history. Okay, and then in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is saying one history. Okay, means he is saying, I only taught this yoga to Surya. Okay, Vivaswan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakuve Bravit. Like that he is saying. What is that? Means he is saying that I only first, the Lord Surya is the first person to do yoga from Lord Vishnu. Okay, and then Lord Surya, he taught it to Ikshvaku, a king, and then Ikshvaku taught it to Manu, and then later on it was spreading. The yoga was the knowledge of yoga was spreaded. Okay, by a long time, that knowledge was lost. Okay, and so I am teaching you again. So Lord Krishna is saying, I am teaching you, Arjuna, again. Like that he is saying, I am teaching this great yoga to you again, like that Krishna is saying. So this history was said by Lord Krishna himself. Okay, so this is one part of history. So like that we could find various reference in different text. So first we saw the means presence of yoga in the Vedas, and next is Upanishads. Basically Veda has two parts. One is Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Okay, Karma Kanda means it says about all the rituals. Okay, how to perform yaga, yajna, what mantras you should say, what things you should use. Those things it is said in Karma Kanda. And Jnana Kanda is only saying about Upanishads. Upanishads are Jnana Kanda of Veda. Okay, in Upanishad there is lot of discussion about what is ultimate reality, what is truth, what is God, what is ultimate reality, after everything what will be there. Okay, like this discussions are there in Upanishads. In Vedas there will be description about different deities. Okay, Shiva, Vishnu and all. But in Upanishads, you will not have any description about any particular deity. Nama, Rupa and all is gone at that stage. Okay, when you do a lot of karma, okay, Vedic karmas when you do, you become more matured. Okay, you have to perform all the karmas according to the Vedas. That is the culture. We have to do all the karmas. We have to do puja for different deities, homas and all. And later on, our mind becomes matured so that we go beyond the name and form. Okay, a name without name and without form, that is an ultimate reality which is present. Okay, that is we call it Brahman or whatever. Okay, so that is discussed in Upanishads. So in the Upanishads only the real yoga is starting. Okay, the real yoga is starting in Upanishads. The real meditation starts in Upanishads. Okay, so the references in Vedas and Upanishads is said to be pre-classical yoga. And then you have something called Smriti and Shruti. Okay, Shruti, the Vedas have Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Karma Kanda says about the rituals. Jnana Kanda discusses about the knowledge and reality. So both of these Vedas and Upanishads are said to be Shruti. Okay, Shruti means which is learned by hearing. In those days they did not have books and they did not write many things. Even many things. So we only got the knowledge in oral tradition. Okay, the Guru teaches orally and the Shishya repeats it orally and remembers everything in the form of shloka. Okay, that is what made. Okay, even now people are teaching Vedas orally only a lot, but they have written, but which is actually against the law. Vedas are not to be written. Okay, it is only Shruti. Okay, it has to be heard and then chanted again. So that part is called Shruti, and there is something called Smriti. Okay, Smriti means that which is remembered. Okay, other than Vedas and Upanishads, we have Itihasa, Purana, Okay, like Itihasas, you know, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And Puranas, you know, there are 18 Puranas. Okay, and then so many Shastras, so many things are there, which is all written. Okay, so I have written what are all, so you should know what is Upanishads and what is Smriti also. Okay, so Upanishad also, you know, now I told you, in which they discuss about the knowledge. The word Upa means Samipe, okay, nearby. Ni means down, okay, Samipe and near, down, means Nishad means sitting, okay. So the Shishya is sitting down and Guru is sitting up, and the knowledge is transformed from Guru to Shishya. That is called Upanishad, or bringing the Shishya near to God. Okay, so this is called Upanishad. Okay, and then in Smriti you have so many things, Itihasa, Purana, Dharma Sutras, okay, and Kavyas, Bhashyas, Nibandhas, Shastras, Shaddarshanas. Okay, all the Shaddarshana yoga, everything is said to be Smriti part of the Vedic study. Okay, Smriti can be written, it can be written, it can be remembered. Okay, that which is remembered is called Smriti, that which is heard is called Shruti. Okay, Shruti has more authority. Okay, when someone says it's Veda Vak, they say, oh, it's a Veda Vak means you have to believe. Okay, it has to be unquestionable things or Shruti. Okay, whereas in Smriti there is a lot of discussion. It can be questioned, analyzed, and then if you, Smriti, Dharma Shastras are also very authoritative only, but it is considered to be less authoritative than Shruti. Okay, Shruti are said to be more authoritative, whereas Smriti are said to be less authoritative. Okay, so all these things are pre-classical yoga. In Mahabharata and Ramayana we have reference of yoga. Okay, in Mahabharata, you know, Bhagavad Gita is there in Mahabharata. Bhagavad Gita is the main text of yoga. Okay, and in Ramayana, Rama lived according to yoga. Okay, he is a Satya Purusha. Okay, means sir would have told you Ashtanga. Okay, Yama. What is Yama? Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. Okay, these are all, Rama lived all these things. Saucha, Santosha, Tapas, Svadhyaya, Ishvara, Pranidhana. They are Yamas. Okay, Rama is a Udaharana Purusha. Okay, he is an example person of the complete perfection. Okay, how a man should live, what all he should follow. If you say Satya, just say Satyam. Satyam Vada, Dharmam Shara. Okay, Veda says this. Okay, but Rama has lived accordingly and shown to the people. Okay, Vedas, the Puranas are said to be the magnificent glass of Vedas. Okay, Purana makes it big and makes it easy to understand. Okay, motivate us to live accordingly. Okay, so that is Puranas. In Mahabharata and Ramayana we have references of yoga that you have to mention. Okay, in Bhagavad Gita we have Lord Krishna, who is a great yoga master and who has given a main yoga text, Yoga Shastram. Bhagavad Gita is said to be a Yoga Shastra. Okay, we all should learn Bhagavad Gita, chant Bhagavad Gita every day. We have to make it as a lifestyle. Okay, it's not like, oh, I have studied in the school, now you can forget. Not like that. Okay, you study yoga or not study yoga, we all should study Bhagavad Gita. Okay, yoga is only the thing you would have learned different definition, among which one definition is Tatra Dukkha Samyoga Viyogaha Yoga Uchyate. Okay, that which binds us with dukkha. Okay, that which liberates us from that samyoga. Okay, it's called yoga. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita, this is also one definition. Okay, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Those things you have studied. So we have to study Bhagavad Gita. So now we have seen the pre-classical yoga. Okay, means we saw means yoga present in Vedas, Upanishads, and then Smritis. Okay, Purana, and in many other Purana we would we could have so many references of yoga. Okay, it will be too elaborate. For now we can understand. Okay, in Ramayana, Mahabharata, it is there. In Upanishads, I have forgot to tell you. In Upanishads, which Upanishads particularly we have about yoga is Kathopanishad. Okay, in Kathopanishad, there is a dialogue between Yama and Nachiketas. Okay, Lord Yama, Nachiketas goes to, it's a beautiful story. Okay, there is a, you know that story? Okay, Nachiketas, what happens is, Nachiketas' father, he is performing a yajna. Okay, and why he is performing that yajna means, he wants to go to Swarga, heaven. Okay, so to go to heaven, for each and everything there is a separate yajna. In Ramayana, you would have heard that Darsharata did Putra Kameshti Yaga. Okay, so like that, for each and everything, there is a different yajna, among which this Nachiketa's father, he is doing one yajna to go to heaven. Okay, and for in the end of the yajna, he is supposed to give so much of dana dharma. Okay, this particular father, he is very stingy. So he is giving all the things which he doesn't want, very bad things. Old cow. Okay, he is giving godana, means he is giving an old cow, which is not used for anything. Old things and all he is giving to Brahmanas. Okay, seeing this, Nachiketa got annoyed. Why he is doing like this? He should give all good things, no? Then only that yajna will be completed. So Nachiketas goes to his father and he is asking, to whom are you going to give me? I am also your possession. I am your son. No, I am also your possession. To whom are you going to give me? He is asking. First, initially, the child is asking like this. The father ignores the question. Okay, just go away, he says. But he is insisting and asking again and again. Okay, to whom are you going to give? To whom are you going to give me? Then, go away, I am going to give you to Yama. Go away, he is saying like that. Okay, he gets angry. Out of anger, he says this to his son. Okay, the Nachiketa, he told, yes, fine, I will go to Yama. He is going to Yamaloka itself. He has that much of tapas or something. He is just going to Yama and he is asking 3. And then Yama, in the front of Yama's house, he is waiting for 3 days without food and all. So Yama came after 3 days and then he felt pity on that child. Okay, and then, oh sorry, I am very sorry. I made you to starve for 3 days. First take the food. He is giving the food, he is offering the food, and then he is asking, well, I will give you 3 boons. Okay, you get the boons and go to your father again, he is saying. Okay, so okay, I will get 3 boons. First boon, he is asking that my father should get the heaven as he aimed. Okay, and then he is asking some other boon. Okay, for father only. Next he is asking for himself. Okay, he is asking what happens after the death. What happens to people after the death? He is asking. Okay, at that time Yama is saying, I will not answer this question because it is a great secret. What happens to people after the death is a great secret. I will give you anything. I will give you I will give you so much of wealth, so much of servants, beautiful ladies and chocolates or whatever you want, I will give you. Okay, but don't ask this question alone, he is saying. And then Nachiketas was stubborn. Okay, whatever you give me, it has an end. Okay, it will go one day. So why should I need all those things? Anyway, one day I am going to die. I am very much curious to know about what happens after the death only. I don't want any of your gifts, he is saying. Okay, he was very stubborn. He did not have any desire. Okay, that shows actually Yama was testing his vairagya. Okay, vairagya means dispassion. Normally a child will be attracted to toys, okay, or some chocolates or some girls, you know, like that. But he did not have a great house, okay, great luxuries. He did not need anything. Okay, he needed only the secret what happens after the death. And then Yama is saying what happens after that. There was a lot of discussion about ultimate reality. Okay, that is in Kathopanishad. So we find references of yoga there. So when you say reference of Upanishads, you have to mention Kathopanishad and then Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Okay, In Shvetashvatara Upanishads, there is a discussion about fundamental things like meditation, okay, control through posture, samadhi and all are described in Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Okay, these things you have to mention. Okay, and then Maitrayaniya Upanishad. Okay, it says about Shadanga Yoga, 6 form of yoga. And then there is a separate Upanishad called Yoga Upanishad. Okay, it was over the period of the time they completed the Upanishad. Only in 18th century they completed that text, Yoga Upanishad. Okay, so it is the latest Upanishad. Okay, you cannot say that it belongs to Vedic period. It is the latest Upanishad, but it is also Upanishad only, Yoga Upanishad. So while coming to this Upanishad, okay, reference of yoga in Upanishad, you have to mention Kathopanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Yoga Upanishad. Okay, this is all about pre-classical yoga.